Let's get reaction from the former deputy assistant to President Donald Trump. He served as the Major General Matthew Horner Distinguished Chair of Military Theory at the U.S. Marine Corps University, national security strategist, Fox News Channel. His new book, Why We Fight, Recovering America's Will to Win, will be out later this year. Let's welcome back to the show on our guest line, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Dr. Gorka, thanks so much for joining us on such short notice. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Mike.
My pleasure. There are a lot of people in D.C. who repeatedly said that the president was desperate for a deal with North Korea, and we were going to get a bad deal with North Korea because he was so desperate. Wow, I'm really, to quote Molly Hemingway on social media, I'm shocked that they read that wrong, huh?
I'm shocked that there is gambling going on in this casino, Mike.
I mean, this is interesting because this does
a famous movie. Look,
yeah, exactly.
People need to understand. People need to understand who Donald Trump is. It's incredible that years after he started his campaign, more than a year after he became president, they still don't understand who he is. Just read his book, The Art of the Deal. Chapter 2 tells you. He says there, never ever be so wedded to a deal that you're not prepared to walk away from it at any point. That's who he is. He's not driven by ideology or utopian, unrealistic visions of the future. He's a pragmatist and a patriot, and you don't play games with him. And when you insult his deputy, when you openly insult the vice president, guess what? We don't play games. We pull out, and it's North Korea that has everything to lose, not the United States.
You know, it's kind of sad to see already the usual suspects are cackling and mocking the suggestion that the president should have been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, they're already taking their pot shots. That's to be expected. But perhaps what isn't expected is the acknowledgement, and we all have to be, we got to put our big boy pants on here and recognize this is a heavy lift. You're dealing with a very difficult, temperamental, erratic leader in Kim Jong-un, but nonetheless, Dr. Gorka, we've made tremendous strides in just the last 6 months, have we not?
Without one pallet of cash being delivered to Pyongyang, our hostages were returned. That's leadership. That's what you have when you have, not leading from behind and strategic patience, but the reassertion of our role in the world as a stabilizing force and no longer blaming us for the world's problems. We stand up for our values. I encourage all your listeners, if you want to know, what the president's going to do for the next 7 years, read or watch the video of his Warsaw speech. This is where he lays it out. He's proud of our Judeo-Christian heritage. He's proud of everything America has done repeatedly to save Western civilization, whether it's coming to Europe's aid twice, whether it's winning the Cold War. I know it's hard to get back to, after 8 years of having a leadership that thought all the world's problems were caused by America. I know it's difficult to get back to where we should be mentally, but that's the reality. And the fake news industrial complex is going to keep spinning their garbage. But it doesn't matter when less than 0.25% of Americans watch CNN of an evening, and more people watch cartoons on Nick at Night. They've just become irrelevant. What Maggie Haberman writes in the New York Times or what Brian Stelter stutters on CNN is just irrelevant, Mike.
And as we react to this breaking news that the president has pulled out of this scheduled summit, we still have a long way to go. There's still reason for optimism, but the ball is in North Korea's court. I mean, this is not, to be clear. I mean, as disappointed as I am, and I think we all are. I think the world is disappointed. This is on Kim Jong-un. This is not on President Donald Trump. So I guess it all rides on, what this erratic dictator is going to do going forward.
We are the most powerful nation the world has ever seen. Our economy is in an incredible upward growth trend right now. Our relationships with our friends are completely back on track, whether it's Israel, whether it's NATO. We are in the strongest position we have ever been. North Korea, like all dictatorships, is ironically very, very fragile. When you have to use fear to maintain your power, when you rely almost exclusively on one nation, China, for your imports, that puts you in a very, very weak position. So, yes, they're managed, but they're one that can be managed. And as Secretary Mattis said, if you threaten us, North Korea, your regime will be annihilated. So the president left the window open. That was a very gracious letter he wrote. He said, if you want to return to the table, then we will talk to you. But right now, you're returning to type, and you're behaving in the ways that led to nuclear blackmail for the last 30 years, and we will not stand for it. That's what the president is saying.
Dr. Gorka, does this decision on the part of the president surprise you?
No, not at all. Not at all. I said from the beginning, I give the chance of this meeting actually happening less than a 40% chance. Yeah. And if it does happen, I expect the dictator to keep his promises. The chance of that being less than 5%. So no, this is it. Dictatorships lie. Whether it's Hitler in Munich in 1938, whether it's Khrushchev smuggling nuclear missiles to Cuba in '62, or whether it's Lil Kim, the Rocket Man. This is what they do. But they're testing the wrong president. So I'm not surprised, but this is very, very unwise of them.
Yep, no question about it. Dr. Gorka, we thank you for taking some time out of your schedule. Look forward to the next time you guest host the Mike Gallagher Show. You got a big following with our listeners, and we'll get you back here soon, okay?
Anytime. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Dr. Sebastian Gorka joining us, reminding everyone of the art of the deal. It's never been a foregone conclusion that this was going to happen. And I don't want to minimize or pretend that this isn't disappointing. This is disappointing. This is definitely a setback. But, the ball's in Kim Jong-un's court.